Hello and welcome to our Monday community conversation. Today we are going to be talking about intermittent fasting, and is it a fad or is it our future? Come live. I always ask that if you're here and you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please take a second to do so. And if you're joining us from Facebook, please take a second to hit that like button. And excuse me for my glasses. I am trying on my new glasses I just got from my optometrist, and they seem to have a little bit of a glare. So I'm going to try to monitor where my eyes are looking and keep the glare of the lights down a little bit. So just bear with me until I get used to these for sure. So welcome, like I said, today we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting. And is it something that is a fad, or is this really how we should be caring for our bodies health-wise, nutritionally in our future? And I really like to keep this conversation limited to the thought processes for us as today's aging women. So do me a favor, if you're an aging woman or you're frustrated with maybe how your body's handling weight loss or accumulating body fat, or maybe you have some brain fog or just some things going on with your body that you're not happy with, do me a favor, hit that like button. I want to know if this is the conversation that's resonating here with our community. So go ahead and hit that like button. That way I'll know we are on track. So intermittent fasting. I believe that intermittent fasting can in fact be a fad, but it can also be our future. And it really is the mindset that we have around how we are approaching it that will determine where it falls in our life, right? So a fad type of approach to intermittent fasting is when we think about it in the terms of maybe like a diet or temporary fixes for something that we're not happy with. And we don't think about creating something that we can really stick to over the long haul of the rest of our life. And so intermittent fasting, maybe if you're wanting to lose 5 pounds really quick for like vacation, or you want to get bikini ready for something, or you're wanting to lose maybe 10 or 15 pounds, and you use it in a short-term approach with an end date in mind, and you really are treating it as a more of a restrictive type of approach, then I would say that's when it falls into a fad type of category. So you're going to kind of just do it until you get the result, and then you're going to go off and do something else. Where I think intermittent fasting is our future, especially as aging women, is when we take the time to understand what happens chemically or chemistry-wise in our body, and how we can really incorporate a lifestyle approach and reap all of the health benefits that intermittent fasting can provide for us. And the health benefits are really endless, right? That what we can do when we approach a lifestyle that is based on the health benefits, we can really do that forever, because hopefully we want to be healthy forever. So I think the first thing that we need to do if we want to use intermittent fasting for our future selves is to think about what it is we want from intermittent fasting, and why is it that we want to kind of dabble in it or research it or experiment with it, and why are we intrigued by it? And oftentimes the intrigue comes from information that we hear about it, right? Or the result that we heard someone else get from it. And we hope we can reap the same benefits. And so that's where we really have to start thinking about how we want to turn something from a fad or that initial emotional response we have into something that we can do for the long haul. And this is where I really think that giving yourself enough time consistently, right, with living this lifestyle where you can yield the benefits from it will really be the determining factor on you doing this forever. And when I say forever, I want to take a second to just describe what intermittent fasting can do for your future self forever. And it doesn't mean that you have to fast every single day in a very regimented way, but you have to understand what chemically goes on in your body enough so that you will always create somewhat of a fasting opportunity for your body. So we know that when we are in a fed state, that our body has to spend a lot of energy and resources on the just plain old digestive process of what goes on when we change our body chemistry with the process of putting food in it, right? And so that is work that our body is doing. The more often we create that environment, the more work that has to happen. And if we're not putting ourselves in a situation where we can utilize that food that we just put in and the digestive process and the storing process that goes on, that's when we find ourselves in problem areas with aging, because that just accumulates and goes into storage and we start having things back up. Where we really benefit and where we can benefit for our future self is when we create even the slightest fast environment in people in some seasons of their life. That could be 12 to 14 hours of fasting, depending on what's going on in your life and what goals you want to achieve with fasting. That in itself will create a healing environment for you versus constantly being in a fed state. So I think we need to think about our body from a chemical standpoint and not just the how we look in a pair of jeans or how many calories we need to be consuming or even how much weight we want to lose. And if we understand the chemical reactions that are going on and what our body is required to do when we put ourselves into that fed state versus fasted state, then we can really envision ourselves in the future constantly living this lifestyle, because we're either fasting or we're feasting. And we know that constantly feasting is not working well for us, because so many of us women are suffering from so many autoimmune disorders and degenerative type diseases. A lot of us are suffering from a lot of those negative side effects with even just menopause, and those aren't necessarily the norm. That's not how our body has been designed to age. We should be thriving in the aging process, and food is really the thing that is slowing us down. So there's an area that a lot of us are suffering from too, and I suffered from it greatly before I started fasting, and that was the whole memory loss situation. And I heard a doctor recently talk about the fact that when we're in a fed state, our blood flow goes to our gut to help the digestive process of what takes place when we have food in our digestive system, and our blood is not flowing to our brain. When we are in a fasted state, because our blood flow is not required for digestion, it allows blood flow to actually go up into our brain and do the work that it needs to do for our brain. And so fasting is also showing that it has very positive signs and signals that it is a repair mechanism for our brain as well as we're going through the aging process. Blood flow to our brain actually prevents an opportunity for our brain to grow back to its normal size, right? And aging is just a decrease of our brain size. So we want to keep that blood flow to our brain. So it's either in our brain or it's in our gut, and we want it to be in our brain more than we want it in our gut. And that's what a fasting environment can do for us as well. So determining why it is you want to start intermittent fasting is going to be the first step in determining whether it is going to be a fad for you, meaning a short-lived experience to reach a certain goal, and then you're going to go back to what you were doing before, or is it the thing that we can use to really enhance our future self for the long haul. And I really do believe that the latter decision is the one that's going to serve most of us best, especially as we're going through the aging process, because we know what fasting is doing for so many of us. We also want to make sure that we understand the chemical process that our body goes through when we're in a fasted state versus a feasted state, and visualize what is going on in our body's mechanisms so that we can make conscious decisions on whether we should break a fast or whether we should start to feast. And then knowing that when we're in that feasted state, that the decisions that we make are to support the future fasting experience that we're going to have, and then we don't feast because we just fasted. It's very, very simple to conceptualize yourself intermittent fasting for the long haul if you think about it from that standpoint. If you're thinking about intermittent fasting as that quick fix approach for weight loss, I promise you will get discouraged, and it'll seem like a lot of work, and it'll seem like a lot of deprivation because you're not looking at it from the healing standpoint. And that really is the mindset that we all should be considering when we're doing something like fasting. If you are more comfortable in the fed state, I do always recommend that you're considering what types of food that you are choosing to feed on, because they're not all created equal. We know that for sure. And if you're opting to spend more time in the fed state than the fasted state, that you really do some research on what it is you're feasting on and making sure that it's supporting the lifestyle that you want to live as well. Because remember, intermittent fasting is not for everyone, but it is that mindset that if you are trying to do something to improve your overall health and well-being for the long haul, that making those conscious decisions and honest decisions about what it is your end result should be should also be considered in the fed state as well. So let me see who's here today. Cheryl, girlfriend, welcome. I know you're in Hawaii. I know it's a lot earlier there. It's probably around, is it before noon, maybe 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning? It's so good to have you here. And we missed you on Thursday night. Diane Kramer from Pennsylvania. Hello, girlfriend. Good to have you here. Oops, where's the like button? If you're on YouTube, it's just the thumbs up button on YouTube. It should be like right underneath. Janine, awesome girlfriend. Hopefully you are creating an intermittent fasting lifestyle for yourself, and it's definitely not a fad. Janine, thanks so much, girlfriend. And then Maureen, 12 to 14 hours or 16 hours. What's the difference? Okay, so let's talk about fasting protocols really quickly. And this is where lifestyle really comes into play, where you should always consider at least putting yourself in a fasted environment. So 12 hours is really considered like the bare bone minimums of what fasting can do for us, because that's when we know that insulin is at its lowest levels in our body, right? So that 12-hour mark. So if you only fasted for 12 hours, you never really have the opportunity, or you're not giving your body the opportunity to feed off of what's in storage, because you're constantly going to be in that next fed state right when insulin is at its lowest point. And insulin really is the hormone that is most out of whack for most of us women, which is why we have insulin resistance and pre-diabetic states, and we're hoarding fat and inability to lose weight, and our mind and brain is kind of going wonky on us. That's all because of what's going on with our insulin. So what we want to do, if you think about 12 hours being the lowest time frame for an insulin response, so your insulin is going to be at the lowest because you haven't created a new response, then when you get into the 14 hours and the 16 hours and the 18 hours, and what I really like to teach was the 20-hour fasted state, you're allowing your body that 8-hour time span to just dig deep into using what you have in reserve, or what's better known as backup, which is causing that insulin resistance. So being in that longer fasted state does just give you the opportunity to use what's in storage and what is backing up your cells and causing your body to not process your last meal correctly. That's basically all that's happening. And then once you get to that point where you go, and I like to visualize it, this is what I teach in a lot of my coaching calls, is that your last meal is your first energy source that's utilized. Then your body has to work through everything that you have in storage. And then you get to that point where you start to really benefit from like being fat adaptive and utilizing your fat stores as energy, which will eventually lead you to that weight loss benefit. So if you think this is 12 hours, your last meal, this is that 8-hour opportunity of a more longer fasting opportunity, right? So that getting to that 20-hour mark, anything less than 20 hours, you're just cutting that opportunity for your body to use in storage down. So, because now you're going to get that next insulin response. And then that consistency over time is what really gets you to that third level of energy utilization, which is what is the damaged part and where we have the fat accumulation. So if you can visualize that, that's why that 20-hour fasting window really does make the most sense. And then when you feast, you support that same process of energy utilization over again. Your last meal, what you have in storage, dead and damaged cells, and then the fat accumulation as well. So hopefully that helps there. Let's see. 2018 grad Lisa, I started to focus on weight, but now my daily and weekly check-in is asking myself, was I focused in time and consistency versus numbers on a scale? Mindset for sure. Yeah. Remember, the scale won't move just because you're fasting, right? You have to create the right environment for your body to be in an energy utilization and a storage utilization in order for you to maintain a weight loss. If you're trying to maintain a weight loss over time while you're healing, that's the best approach. Will you lose weight if you do something quick and abrupt? Absolutely. Will the weight loss stay? No. Will you probably gain more weight back? Absolutely. We know, because we've all done that before. So it really is a mindset about the long haul for sure. Cynthia, hello from Kansas. Good to have you with us. Linda from Florida. Good to have you. Lizelle from South Africa. Girlfriend, welcome. It's good to have you with us as well. Janice, hello. Maureen from South Africa also. Wow. Love you guys from South Africa joining us. Rita, 2017 grad, North Carolina. Best thing I ever gave myself is intermittent fasting. Had my last meal today at 3 p.m. Will break my fast tomorrow at noon time. Yeah, for sure. So think about it from a chemical standpoint. The last meal I ate has to be utilized before I can get into what I have in storage that's causing me all the problems. And then that final energy or healing opportunity is the last thing that happens. So consistency over time will help us utilize what's in storage, what's becoming problematic for us, and then we can thrive in that third level once we get that backup done. And that's really what I consider the reset approach and what I call the healing aspect of intermittent fasting. And when you're at that place where you can use what you just put in very quickly, and you can get to that fat adaptive state very quickly, that's when you're in that healed state, and that's when your body has reset itself and had the opportunity to reverse that insulin resistant, because now your insulin is responding properly to whatever you put inside of it. Starla, learning so much from you. Never thought I could do a 20-hour fast. I feel great, right? A 20-hour fast is amazing. And I think it is that mindset that we create around how fasting feels. And so many of us have that feeling of, and I got asked this morning on my Instagram page, was like, if you wake up and you're hungry, should you eat? And I always say no. If you wake up and you're hungry, congratulate yourselves. That means that your body is utilizing what you have in storage, and it's sending you a signal that it needs more energy. And if you just let it fast, it will find the energy that you have in storage. So I always say learn how to thrive in a fasted state, and then everything else will be really easy. And it is a mindset. You have to learn how to thrive in that fasted state. Shamila, I think it is, from Trinidad. Welcome, girlfriend. Danny, hi. Diane and Michael, definitely future forever. October 2018 grad. Yeah, for sure. It really should be that thing that if you understand what happens in a fasted state, then you will always want to put your body in a fasted environment. That doesn't mean we become food phobic. That doesn't mean that we don't eat food. That doesn't mean that we don't enjoy food. That means that we just use food to support what it is that we want to have for our lifestyle, right? And we don't use food for all the wrong purposes. And I think once we get that down in our head, that food doesn't fix problems, food won't get you your job back, food won't fix your marriage, food won't help the dog, food won't help the kids, food does not do those things. Food should nourish us and allow us the opportunity to live a healthy and happy life. That's it. How you define that is going to be best defined by you, right? What makes you feel happy? What makes you feel healthy? And I think we forget the happy part, right? Because if you're using food in the wrong way, most often you don't end up happy about it, right? You feel remorse, you feel regret, you feel bummed out about yourself, you feel disappointed, you start self-sabotaging, the negative self-talk happens. So we use food thinking it's going to make us happy, but in the end, it doesn't provide that for us. It ends up making us feel worse than we did before. So figure out how to define food for you, and then make sure that the food that you choose to put in your feasting window does make you feel happy and healthy for sure. Linda, love it. Love that point. Awesome. Okay, so are you using intermittent fasting as a fad? And if you are, that's okay. You just have to understand that all the results that you got from intermittent fasting when you used it in the short term will be short term, right? As soon as you go back to doing what you did before, you will go back to being what you were before. So let's start thinking about intermittent fasting as something that we can do for the long haul, for our future self, for how it is we want to look and feel moving forward, and how authentically we want to move about our day. And can we understand what happens in our body chemistry-wise so that we can thrive in the fasted state, knowing what our body is capable of doing if we just don't interfere and interrupt it. And then when we feast on foods that will enhance and provide a happy and healthy lifestyle for ourselves. It's that easy. We just have to do a little bit of work on our mindset. Once we get that mindset squared away, fasting and feasting is amazing, and you will thrive in the fasted state. As a lot of women say here, that fasting for 20 hours is the sweet spot, and it will really help you feel empowered and energetic as you're going through your day. So for those of you who aren't graduates, I know some of our graduates are here. Remember, our last course for 2020 starts on November the 7th. Registration is open, so make sure you're on our email list, or you can get yourself registered. The link is open if you want to save your spot in class. We talk about a lot of this inside of the course. And I help you develop that time and consistency aspect with intermittent fasting and help you really find that energized sense of calm and that thriving environment of being in a fasted state. So you're not panicking thinking that you need to eat when really all you really need to do is understand the chemistry of fasting. So with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go for the day. I hope this leaves you thinking about how it is you're going to approach your night tonight and perhaps even how you're going to approach your day tomorrow. And where will you find your best self? Where will you find yourself thriving? Will it be in a fasted state or will it be in a feasted state? And where will you gain the most benefit in the long haul? I hope you'll choose fasting because we are proving here that that is the best place to be. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys back here on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, if you're interested in our intermittent fasting for today's Aging Woman course, all the links are in the description, or you can go to www.fortodaysagingwoman.com. You can get yourself on my email list, and I will be emailing you starting next week, letting you know about all the benefits that we reap from being an attendee of our class. I'll talk to you guys later.